So it looks like things are heating up when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2. We've got another huge AAA game leaked. When it comes to the platform, something is absolutely happening, and it's going to be happening sometime soon. We've got to talk about that, in addition to a big spotlight sale that shows that Nintendo does have some pretty good deals when it comes to third-party titles. I'm going to go over some of the games that maybe you should check out, and we've got Switch 2 updates as well, so a lot to get into. But before we continue on, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2. All you have to do to enter is hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed, and drop a comment below. We are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 once we hit 150,000 subscribers, and it will be random. So the more that you actually comment and interact, the better chance that you have to win. Hit that like button, click that notification bell, and let's go ahead and jump right back into it. Let's start off with the big leaked Nintendo Switch 2 games situation that's going on. So I am putting together a comprehensive video and list of everything, but until that is ready, we're gonna have to talk about some of the latest news that went down when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2 and leaks. So let's talk about Starfield for the Nintendo Switch 2. This is a game that many people felt could have been delayed or canceled, or not even delayed, they haven't even announced it yet, but canceled outright because of some of the information that came out from some notable Microsoft insiders. But it looks like, based off of this new rating here by the Taiwan rating board, that Starfield is still systems go on the platform. Now, it recently launched on the PlayStation 5 to pretty dismal type of reports. Now, it still plays okay. It's not like it plays bad most of the time. There are some issues here and there, but the biggest problems are the crashing and some of the hitches in the performance, even some of the stuff that wasn't there in the Xbox Series release 3 years ago. So they have to get that situated, and I'm pretty sure that they will. It's Bethesda, they'll have patches, they will definitely smooth those things out. But some people are wondering, wait a minute, if it's having issues on the PlayStation 5, what's going to happen on the Nintendo Switch 2? Well, I would probably say I'm not sure what's going to happen, but there is an Xbox Series S version of Starfield. That's not the worst thing ever. It's not the best, but it's not the worst thing ever when it comes to optimization and performance of a big AAA game. So I'm guessing they would leverage some of their experience working on that platform to make sure that they can get it done with the Switch 2 with a hard cap of 30 FPS. Maybe, if we're lucky, a performance mode of 40 FPS when it comes to VRR or something like that. Probably not, but I think that they'd probably do something like that. But yes, the Taiwan rating board, entertainment software rating board, has rated Starfield. Now, this doesn't definitively mean that it's coming over. There could still be something that happened, but somebody from Microsoft or from Bethesda went there, put in the listing and said, this is complete. Like, we are going to do this. You have to pay for that listing, and it usually leaks overseas first, and then we get the announcements later. So there's been a number of different things that are happening here. I mean, we can go down the list. Like I said, I'm going to have a more comprehensive, huge video that goes over a lot of stuff, a lot of titles. It's actually kind of crazy. So that's how I know something when it comes to a Nintendo Direct is coming up. And we'll talk about the possibilities, partner showcase, regular Nintendo Direct in just a bit. But if you look at some of the stuff that's happening right now, you look at DMC5, in addition to Starfield, both of those getting ratings beforehand, even Diablo. We also have big rumors from notable insiders like Nate the Hate, Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4 rumored, and many other games. Even Guardians of the Galaxy, we talked about that game just a bit ago on the channel. So there are a lot of different things when it comes to ratings, when it comes to games and stuff that is happening with the Nintendo Switch 2. And as the system continues to break records and continues to sell at a very good clip worldwide, you're going to get even more and even more developers, just because it looks, when it comes to just Xbox sales, it looks like things are going to take even a worse turn for Microsoft there. Sales seem to have hit rock bottom, so developers do need another outlet. And yes, PC's there, PlayStation 5 is there, but price increases on RAM, memory, issues there on top of price increases with the PlayStation 5. You can't necessarily count on everyone rushing out there and new consumers buying the most expensive platforms on the market in places, Switch 2 is still competitively priced lower than what we're seeing from Microsoft, Sony, and PC in a lot of places. So I think a lot of developers are looking at that and saying we have to get something, and I think that they realized that a while ago. On top of obviously the explosive sales of the Nintendo Switch 1, they knew that there would be a good base at the start of the system, considering the popularity and how long the Switch 1 was selling for. So I think that all of that led into developers not at this point supporting the system and getting ready as Nintendo finishes up year 1 this June and starts heading into year 2 post year 1. That's going to be very important. You need the third-party games, you need the first-party stuff. I think both of those are going to be coming, so we can kind of get into that a little bit more with the Nintendo Direct. All these ratings and games that are leaking here, that shows that there's going to be something coming up. Now, could there be another partner showcase? I think people would bemoan that if there was, but based off of all the different third-party games that are getting rated here, absolutely, there could be another partner showcase, but this one could be considerably better maybe than the last one from what people are thinking, because some of the games are like Diablo 4 and DMC, for example, DMC 5, Starfield. Some of these games are just so much higher profile than what some of the games were in that last one. So if we do get like Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4 and some of this other stuff, I think that'd be pretty exciting for a lot of players out there. So whether Nintendo does a partner showcase, or what I think and what kind of Nate the Hate is saying is that they're going to wait till about June and they are going to do a big Nintendo Direct with announcements there, with the potential announcement of Star Fox maybe here in April, but then in maybe late May or June, we see that big Nintendo Direct. It's going to go over more of the games. It's going to announce some of the stuff that's been leaked already. It's going to have more third-party games. They could just put it all there because they have enough games to get them through May when it comes to Nintendo Switch 2 stuff. And even if you look at it, June also has Rhythm Heaven. Smaller game though, not as much of an impact, but Tomodachi Life is going to be a big seller for a long period of time on Switch 1, and then eventually people are going to be picking that up as well when it comes to Switch 2. And then you also have Yoshi that's coming out next month, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. So you do have some games to sustain you all the way through then. So I do think that they are going to wait and they're going to have that big Nintendo Direct, and it is going to be a massive one because there should be a lot of big games. Nintendo gives us the second half, stuff like Splatoon Raiders, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, which also recently got rated as well. Splatoon Raiders got rated, we talked about that. And when you have stuff like the Dust Bloods, you also have other big games like Ocarina of Time that could potentially be a thing, the remake that's been rumored. So there's a lot of stuff that Nintendo is putting together, a lot of logistics, large-scale maneuvering of pieces, certain games, and getting release dates already. I'm guessing that the work is even twofold compared to the Nintendo Switch 1, considering the Nintendo Switch 2 absolutely blows the doors out of the water when it comes to early third-party support. Nintendo didn't start getting third-party support on Switch 1 till at least a year and a half to 2 years in. When it comes to Switch 2, they've been getting third-party support from the beginning when it comes to games. Their whole workload has definitely expanded greatly when it comes to getting everything certified and rated and tested and everything like that. So very interesting to see how things will play out when it comes to that next Nintendo Direct and what's going to be happening. But what do you guys think when it comes to everything we talked about here, from the Starfield ratings to the new games and what could be happening? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, moving on to the next topic here. We're going to be discussing the big Nintendo Switch 2 Spotlight sale. Now, this is for Switch 1 and for Switch 2, but a lot of somewhat more recent games are getting put out on big discounts. So I'll have the full list for you guys right here. So if you want to check out any of the games, you can, but there are some things that I want to spotlight myself when it comes to titles. So Assassin's Creed Shadows, this is a game that you're going to see more price drops on. You might be able to find physical versions, the game keycard, for cheaper, but $40.19 for Assassin's Creed Shadows, not bad considering the amount of content that's in that game. Blueprints, a big indie game that reviewed really well, that's $19.79. Chronos New Dawn, $41.99. That's one of those games that people really enjoy as like a AA type of horror space shooter type of thing. So good stuff there. Hades 2 is absolutely a pick that I would say get that one, because Hades 2 is awesome. Even at the full $30 price tag, getting it for $24 here is absolutely great, especially if you love rogue games. I think that Hades 2 is a fantastic title to pick up. Yooka-Replaylee, that is an interesting game because that just got a 60 FPS update on the Nintendo Switch 2, and they put out a funny video on Twitter about how they got that done, or about, you know, just joking around about the whole 60 FPS thing. So that's $23.99. So that would be pretty good. You get the 60 FPS update, you get the game for $24. Not bad when it comes to that. Split Fiction, another great game, definitely a game of the year quality type game when it came out. $34.99 for Split Fiction. Definitely worth the money there. Star Wars Outlaws, another really good AAA current generation port over to the Nintendo Switch 2. And I would say Sonic Cross Shadows Generations, this might be one of the better deals or best deal on here, because you get that excellent Shadow part and it's only $20 for that. Plus you get the original Sonic Generations game that's been completely remastered and plays great on the Nintendo Switch 2. So for 20 bucks, can't really go wrong with that. Then you have Persona 3 Reload Digital Premium Edition, and that is $58.49. That is about $30 off the usual $89.99, but that comes with the DLC, and it does now have a 60 FPS docked mode, still 30 FPS portable mode, but it's a lot more stable than what it was before, and they did fix it up. So I would say now Persona 3 Reload is a good buy on the Nintendo Switch 2, and you get that DLC for less than 60. I think it's a good deal at that point. And then you have all of the Yakuza games as well. Yakuza 0, Yakuza Kiwami, all that stuff that is discounted as well. So a lot of good games to pick from here. Good discounts that not necessarily on other platforms now. So if you're interested in any of those, you can check it out. So do you guys plan on getting any of these games here? I think I'm going to go pick up Sonic Cross Shadow Generations. That seems like something I'll get, and maybe even Yooka-Replaylee for me. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Now, speaking of Yooka-Replaylee, let's talk about this, because the developers put out an interesting video, like I said, and it now is 60 FPS with a performance mode. So that's pretty big news for this type of game. And the reason why I say that is because Yooka-Replaylee, it's a throwback to the old school Nintendo games, the Banjo-Kazooie and all of that. And their main audience is on Nintendo platforms. But the biggest issue is that when this game launched, there was no 60 FPS version, and people were thinking, what the heck is going on? Why is there not a 60 FPS version? So they made a little funny parody type video that they're lazy and we've got to start working now because we need 60 FPS because everybody is telling us this. So apparently there's an interview on Nintendo Life where they go more in depth about why maybe it wasn't, or what they needed to do, because they call themselves a small indie team, which they are that. So I'm guessing it was a resource type of thing, getting the game ported over to Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and Nintendo Switch 2 with the amount of manpower that they had and what they could do probably just wasn't feasible. So now after the release of the game, they were able to really kind of lock in and get everything going. But yeah, they've been teasing the 60 FPS mode and saying they're going to be working on it, and it looks like they finally got that done. But I think that the interesting thing here is that with the Nintendo Switch 2, you not only have to make sure that things run smoothly and play smoothly docked, that's one thing, but you got to make sure that it plays smoothly portable as well. And I think that's where maybe some developers, especially manpower wise, get kind of tripped up a little bit, because in portable mode, it's not as strong. You don't have as much performance as in docked mode. So that's one thing that developers have to make sure, because people play a lot of portable on the Nintendo Switch 2. So you don't want a Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury situation, which we have that with Persona 3 Reload, where portable, it's 30 FPS, docked, it's 60. If you can, you want it to be docked 60, and then you also want it to be portable 60 as well. You need to get a lot of tweaking in order to get that done. Maybe use DLSS. You got to do what you need to do, lower the resolution. There's all sorts of ways, but it's going to take some time. Now, and I still feel that they should have prioritized the Nintendo Switch 2 version at first and get that at 60 and then release the other versions later. I mean, like, how many people are buying Yooka-Replaylee on Xbox and PlayStation? So I do think that they should have just prioritized the Switch 2 version, but they did state that dev kits were a little bit later, maybe more than what they would have wanted. So I can understand from a smaller team standpoint there, but I'm happy that it's out. It's not like the game is going to disappear or something like that. So you can get it now. It's also on discount, so if you did wait, you get it for cheaper than if you bought it day one. And of course, if you've already got the game, you can play it now at 60 FPS, which I've been waiting to play it just because a 3D platformer at 30 FPS, yes, it was fine, but it's one of those things where I need that 60 FPS when you're talking about a 3D platformer, especially one like this in the modern age. So what do you guys think about Yooka-Replaylee and its 60 FPS mode, newly added in on Nintendo Switch 2? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, we're going to discuss the domination once again of Pokemon Pokopia and the Nintendo Switch 2 in Japan. Another week, and we've got more results. April 6, 2026 through April 12th, 2026. Pokemon Pokopia once again at the top of the board with another 23,738 units. This is all physical, no digital sales. So this game is absolutely becoming the evergreen seller of evergreen sellers for the Nintendo Switch 2. This game has sold 890,909 physical units, not including digital, total overall just in Japan. It is a huge breakout hit, especially if you're looking at the install base of the Nintendo Switch 2 system itself. Mario Kart World back into second place. More and more people are picking up the last remnants of that bundle and are just getting the game itself. That's over 2.8 million, going to hit 3 million this year very soon. So not bad at all. And the PS5 version of Starfield launches at 5,368 units. So that's not that great, but a lot of people in Japan are buying all digital Japanese only PlayStation 5. So you have to factor that in. When it comes to hardware sales, Switch 2 is still at the top by far, outselling every other system by at least 2 times plus. 52,058 units for the Switch 2. Switch 1 was actually in second place with 21,000 plus units, and the PS5 sales have tapered off considerably since the price increase. Only 8,673 units total for the PlayStation 5, and the PS5 Pro only sold 1,028 units. So that big price increase definitely hitting these sales numbers overall as it dips below 10,000 units for the overall for the past week. So yeah, Pokemon Pokopia, it's still going to be doing great there. Obviously, we know Japan pretty much all Nintendo dominated at this point, but we're going to have to wait and see what Nintendo has for the second half to keep these sales going. Pokemon Pokopia is awesome, but you're going to need some more hits coming up here. So we're going to see how Tomodachi Life is going to do on the Nintendo Switch 1. We're going to see how Yoshi is going to do, and then of course, hopefully we get that big direct, the big other games coming out, like maybe Star Fox, for example. Can that have a resurgence in Japan? Can we see some of the other games like Splatoon Raiders? How's that going to do? Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. Are more people going to get the Switch 2 for that? I think Nintendo probably is stockpiling a little bit for some of those big games that are going to be coming out to get a push for the Japanese language model only in Japan. So what do you guys think when it comes to the overall sales of the software and the hardware for the past week, in addition to everything else that we talked about here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.